Hey, welcome back to the podcast, Evil Dungeon Master Universe Podcast. I'm your host, Evil Dungeon Master Vince. Hopefully, you're having a great day today. I know I am somewhat, I guess. I don't know. It's Monday and it's time for a new podcast. And I did get an email from Tom J, and he wanted me to go over the Thief class as far as the abilities and everything and give some commentary on what I thought about it. And I figured, you know what? That's not even a bad idea because when's the last time I went over something as basic as the thief class abilities in the player's handbook? Well, today's a good day for that. But first, theevildm.com is my website, and ask the DM at theevildm.com is my email address. Head over to ko-fi.com/theevildm, where you can join my Ko-fi site. There's 3 levels. Each level gets something special, like a podcast, a newsletter, various special things for AD&D or whatever that'll help seed your game, and you'll get your name placed on my YouTube videos as a shout out as well, depending on what level. With that all out of the way, let's head over to the player's handbook on starts on page 26. We talk about the thief, and its primary functions are pickpocketing, opening locks, finding and removing traps, moving silently, and hiding in shadows. These are the basic, self-explanatory functions of a thief. The chance of success of any performance is based on the ability level of the thief performing it. This is modified with respect to picking pockets by the experience level of his or her victim and the powers of the observer with respecting to hiding in shadows. So these functions are detailed as followed, and we're just going to jump right into, obviously, a thief can have a D6 for hit points. They are, however, only able to wear light leather armor and use a fair number of weapons. Although they fight slightly more effective than magic users do, they're able to use stealth more effectively in backstabbing. This ability is explained hereafter. Also, when you go to the Unearthed Arcana, you get the ability, a few more things for a thief, as well as using a short bow, which I do think I would allow, even regardless if we didn't use Unearthed Arcana. I don't see why a thief couldn't use a short bow. I mean, it's easy to compact a short bow on you and carry it around, so I have no problem with that. So, picking pockets or folds of garments or girdle also includes such activities as pilfering and filching small items. It is done by light touch and sleight of hand. So that kind of gives you an idea. And when it comes to picking pockets, we'll talk about that a little bit later. You don't know exactly what you're getting. You're basically just going in there and picking a pocket, unless you specifically see some type of item that the person put in a pocket, and then you can go directly for it. Like if he puts a little pouch of gold. He's got his little gold pouch out and he puts it in one of his pockets. Then you know where you're going to try to grab when it comes for picking pockets. Otherwise, just a randomly grabbed item that the DM has to roll for. Opening locks includes figuring out how to open sliding puzzle locks and foiling magical closures. It is done by picking with tools and by cleverness, plus knowledge and study of such items. Finding and remove traps pertains to relatively small mechanical devices such as poison needle, spring blades, and the like. Finding is accomplishing by inspection, and they are nullified by mechanical removal or being rendered harmless. Now, not every trap can be removed. As you can see, spring blades, needles, and the like, which means they're very small traps, not these elaborate giant traps. Finding, different story. Moving silently is the ability with little sound and disturbance, even across a squeaky wooden floor. For instance, it is the ability which improves with experience. So the higher you up, Hiding in shadows is the ability to blend into dark areas, to flatten oneself, and remain motionless when in sight, to remain unobserved. It is a function of dress and practice. Secondary functions of the thief are listening at doors to detect sound behind them, ascending and descending vertical surfaces such as walls, And 3, backstabbing those who happen upon the thief in the performance of his or her profession. These functions are described as follows. Listening at doors includes activities at other portals such as windows. It is accomplished by moving silently to the door and pressing an ear against it to detect sound. Now, that could be interpreted in a couple different ways, but we'll get into that a little more detail. I think it was a little bit more of a description later on, which we will look at and discuss that particular moment there. Ascending and descending vertical surfaces is the ability of the thief to climb up and down walls. It is assumed that the surface is coarse and offers ledges and cracks for toe and hand holds. When it comes to my campaigns, I will add in factors of is it raining outside? Is it windy? Is the surface a little bit slick? Things like that when you're climbing up and down walls. So your percentage is not always going to be the final percentage you see there listed on the chart. You may get bonuses for anything. I mean, hell, nighttime will be even worse when climbing because you can't really see unless you have the ability to see in the dark. Then it doesn't matter. But if it's a daytime, you get a little bit more ease because you can see your way up. I added factors like that, and I can as the DM. Just because the bros say I can't doesn't mean I can't. Backstabbing is the striking blow from behind, be it with a club, dagger, or sword. The damage done per hit is twice the normal for the weapon used for 4 experience levels of the thief. Double damage 1 to 4, or triple at 5 to 8, quadruple at 9 to 12, and quintuple at 13 to 16. Note that striking by surprise from behind also increases the hit probability by 20%, so a plus 4 to hit on the die rolls when you do this attempt. Now, at my table, it has always been determined that if a thief surprises a victim, such as he's hiding in the shadows, jumps out, and gets that surprise attack, I would allow backstabbing because it's a similar case. You're hitting someone from behind and not noticing, so that's kind of like a surprise. I've always thought of allowing them to hide in the shadows, jump out, and then surprise the person, stab. I have no problem with that logic, and a lot of players have kind of argued for using that, and with good cases, I'm like, you know what? They are right, because it makes sense. They're jumping out and surprising. You're backstabbing, surprising. So, yeah, you're going to get that backstab. So I generally will allow that. The chances are them getting it all the time doesn't necessarily mean a surprise, but who knows? Additional abilities which accrue to thieves are, all thieves, regardless of alignment, have their own language. Thieves can't. This language is known in addition to other languages that can be because of race and or intelligence. One of the things I just really never understood with Thieves Can't and how it actually worked exactly, but I know they did an article on it in one of the Dragon magazines, which kind of explained it, and I got it and lost it. I didn't. It's just like alignment language. I never really understood the purpose of alignment language. What exactly are you speaking? But there's something you can ask, and you can just comment below and tell me about it, either on Spotify or YouTube. Tell me what you think Thieves Can't is, or what language is, pretty much. Is it hand gestures, sign language, or you saying bibbity bobbity boo? At 4th level, you're a burglar. Thieves are able to read 20% of languages, and this ability increases by 5% with each additional level of experience until 80% probability is obtained. This enables the possible reading of instructions and treasure maps without having to resort to magic items or spells. This is the one that I don't let players roll, because I want a realistic situation. Not right. I shouldn't say realistic. I want them to believe that they know what they've seen. I want a player character to roll with what they know. Now, if I'm rolling it and they're trying to read, I don't know, a treasure map, for example, and they've never seen it before, and let's just say the magic user doesn't have, comprehend languages or whatever, ready to go. So the thief looks at it, and I roll for them. And let's say they get their 20%. And I tell the thief, okay, you read the map. It tells you, this, or that. Okay, boom, they do that. I roll it again for another map or the same situation again, but they fail. Now, let's say they fail by, I don't know, 30%. and they only have a 20%. I would say you read the map, you get the following information from the map, and this is what you do. Now, they read it wrong, so their directions or whatever they're doing is going to be completely wrong. Maybe I'll say that they read the map upside down. So instead of them going north, they'd be going south. Or instead of going west, they'll be going east. Something like that. Now, if it's a huge, huge gap, like more than 50%, I would just be like, yeah, you can't read the map no matter what you do. And you can only do it really one time per level. So you can read it, but if it's close, I'll give them some information like I just told you. But generally, if it fails, it pretty much fails. And I'd like to see what happens when they don't, when they try to follow a map that they're not sure of. It's kind of a great time. At 10th level, Master Thief, the thieves are able to decipher magical writings and utilize scrolls of all sorts, including those of clerical but not druidic nature. However, the fact that thieves do not fully comprehend magical means that there is a 25% chance that writings will be misunderstood. Furthermore, magical spells from scrolls can be mispronounced when uttered, so that there is an increased chance per level of the spell will be reversed of its intent. That's kind of a fun thing to play with. And as a thief, I would probably never read a scroll. I don't care what it is. I would just hand it over to the magic user or sell it to the magic user. Maybe I would read it just to know what it is, and then sell it, but I'm not going to say it out loud. I've had too many times being screwed over with that. These primary and secondary and tertiary functions are displayed on the table hereafter. Thieves cannot build strongholds, and some other classes of characters do. They do, however, build a tower or fortify building of a small castle for their own safety, but this construction must be within or not more than a mile distance away from a city or town. So we're heading over to the chart, and I'm not going to go over the entire chart because obviously we've seen it thousands of times, or you can flip to page 28 in the book and look at it really quick. But at your first level, you get pickpockets, open lock, find, remove traps, move silently, hide in shadows, hear noise, climb walls. You don't get read languages until 4th level. Each of these factors are modified by your race of class. Humans get nothing, of course, but dwarf, elf, gnome, half-elf, halfling, and half-orc do get modifiers to all of these, as well as your dexterity does modify most of the physical ones, not things like hear noise or read languages, but things like move silently and open locks and pickpocket all get modified by your dexterity, which you look under your dexterity attribute in the beginning of the book. Percentile roll to determine whether a thief is successful or not. Any score equal to or less than a percentage shown for the appropriate level of the thief performing designated functions will indicate success. Now, something that people forget about now when I was talking about pickpockets, things like that, there's a special ability here. Pickpocket fails if a score above the percentage shown for the level of the thief attempting the function is generated. If the score is 21% or more above the number shown, the victim notices the thief's attempt. The potential victim reduces the thief's chances for success by 5% for every level of experience he or she is above 3rd. Example, -4 for 4th level, -10 for 5th, etc., etc. For example, a high-level thief, Master Thief, level 12, is planning to pick the pockets of a magic user he has noticed nearby. The base chance for success is 100. The thief is a half-elf and adds a 10% for racial ability. The thief also has a dexterity of 18, so adding another 10% added, this total is a nice, safe 120%. Can't fail, right? Right? However, the victim happens to be 12th level also. So the subtraction is 9 times 5% equals 45%. This brings the chance down of success to 75. A good chance, but if 96% or higher is rolled, the thief will be noticed and success gains an item from the victim. The item is determined at random from a list of possession unless the exact look, like I spoke before about if you knew exactly where the item was being placed. So there is a factor in here that you can modify pickpockets and thus why it goes over 100% due to the fact of the level of the person you're picking pockets because they can observe you. But I also do add a 5 to 10% chance either way, depending if the room is noisy, it's crowded, or things like that. If it's like an open area, you're the only person, and the other person you're trying to pickpocket is just you and him, yeah, you're going to get a minus on that. But if you're in a busy bar with back-to-back people bumping into one another, you'll get a bonus. Definitely. 5 to 10%. That is just all it fluctuates. Let's see here. Opening locks may be attempted by any given thief once per lock. If the score generated exceeds the adjusted amount, thief has failed. No amount of trying will enable. Now, it says no, you only let to do it once per lock per thief, but once you fail, you fail. That's it, you're done. I have allowed thieves to do it again as long as they are aware that I'm going to add a negative modifier of 20 something percent to it. So sometimes I will say that, you just can't pick the lock. That's it. You failed. Come back in an hour. Come back later. That's it. This has it, once you try it once, done. You just can't do it until you go up a level. Then you can come back and do it. I don't think that's really all that fair. I would say at least come back another time. Yeah, because, people will think about it. Maybe they'll even practice. Oh, this person had this type of lock. I've seen it before. Or this is a lock I've never seen. Let me do some research and go find some things about it. So they're going to come back fresh and new. Yeah, I wouldn't see the problem with that. But see, move silently can be attempted by each time the thief moves. It can be used to approach an area where where some creature is expected, thus increasing the chance for surprise here, like I told you, or approach or backstab, or simply done to pass some guard or watchman. Failure, a dice score excess of the adjusted base chance, means that movement was not silent. See surprise. Success means it was silent. Again, for moving silently, you have to take in some factors of the environment as well as with hiding in shadows. You obviously can't be under direct observation and just be like, I'm hiding in shadows, you can't see me. Things like that. Hearing noise. Here's something that a lot of people kind of, I think, mess up. Hearing noise is simply listening intently. The thief and his or her accomplices must themselves be quiet. Quiet. Yeah, that's a new word. Quiet. Quiet, but not silent as in moving. This function can be repeated as often as desired. If it requires a full minute to listen, or 1/10 of a normal turn, or time equal to a melee round. Note that sleeping creatures, undead, and many other creatures do not make sounds discernible through a portal. Success informs the hero that someone or something awaits beyond the portal. And I don't know if they're using portal as meaning an actual portal, or sometimes a portal is known as a door or an archway that is closed. So I'm not sure that you'd interpret it how you want, but there is something in here that I wanted to talk about. You don't actually need to be moving silently. You just need to be silent. And it says in the previous page, which I've seen a lot of DMs mess this one up. Let's see. Listening at doors on page 27. Listening at doors also includes. Listening at doors includes like activities that other portals such as windows. Oh, that's what they mean by is portals. Okay. It is accomplished by moving silently to the door and pressing. So a DM can interpret this as moving silently as in you have to move quietly to the door at hand. But that's not how it works. It's just basically you said you have to not be making noise. So it really depends how you want to interpret that. And I guess you can't hear somebody snoring through a window. I don't see why you can't, but reading languages can be attempted but once. Failure, a score greater than the percentage chance shown for the experience and level of the thief, means that the language is not understood and no amount of reading will make it comprehensible. However, the thief can try again with each new experience he gives. So I was correct when I was doing it before, that you try to read it and you can't read it, or you can DM to give you just bad information because you failed. I think it's more information. I think it's a little bit more interesting to say yeah, this is what you obscure from the map, and have them go on it and then be like, hey, this is not what it is. So, it's always that fun. And climbing walls really can be dependent upon, like I said, the if it's wet outside, things like that. So that's a look at the thief from the player's handbook perspective, with their percentages and all the abilities they can do. Now, there's a whole thing in the DMG about this, which I'm not going to get into today. I want to save that for a separate podcast time. So maybe I'll do that for the next one for you guys, because it's a little bit long as well. So I want to try to keep these in the relatively short amount of listening time of under 30 minutes at the most. I don't think I've gone past 30 minutes unless I've had like a person on the podcast with me. Then we can talk about that as well. Talk back and forth like a regular podcast. And then I don't care how long it goes. But solo podcast, 30 minutes is probably pushing it, that most people would want to listen to. Now I'm at the 20 minutes, almost 22 minutes mark. So I'm going to head out. Keep original, keep it old school. Good night. God bless. And we'll keep those AD&D fires lit. Good night.